on board. If you need us to displace more to the right, tell me so that you can get your pictures. I don't know if the pilots can hear me or not, but when we get past Kerrville, if they could slow it down a little bit, we'll take it at a slower speed. Copy. They're going to slow down. Governor, if you need them to go faster, slower, just tell me. And then I have them moving out to the right a little bit so the camera can see. That's a good idea.
we're pulling something that's really nothing to see right now.
Okay, I'll have a maybe speed back up till we get to something good.
As to what's going on, we got a... I'm going to say it. Still in Kerrville, you know, that area where's the dam and the water overflow around the Ingram area, that's where we'll really start slowing down a little bit and getting a little bit closer and doing some circle back for the best opportunity for some photos beginning at about the end. Do you have an update on weather today and tomorrow?
The weather is getting better, so as we move into the weekend, we're in a lot better space than we have been the last 3 or 4 days.
No meaningful rainfall expected anytime soon?
Nothing that's going to cause additional flooding to our knowledge right now. There's a lot of tractors and other machinery down there that's already doing a whole lot of stockpiling of debris. A lot of these private parks, they're wanting to go ahead and get them open. We're also coordinating the searches in those areas to make sure we don't have anybody over.
Yeah, you can see all those RV slots right there.
Yeah, it's flat there.
You guys got to Hey, Governor, are you okay with me recording the headset audio? Not all of it. I guess you can, but I'll be cautious about what I say. I would rather over that water flow, and then beginning here in about a quarter of a mile, we'll start seeing some massive devastation areas. So then right now, looking out there, doesn't look like the road heading out is credit. The road heading in is credit.
I know the sheriff was trying to do a lot of road containment to make sure that we had only residents and responders that were able to get in and out.
A lot of debris, but you see the trees that are left standing. You may think, well, that's all that was there. Now, this is all completely tree lined, and they've been able to kind of stockpile everything that was knocked down. It doesn't look as devastating to the eye as it did in the 1 or 2 days afterwards, but you'll see a lot more as we get closer to misting.
Well, the massive root balls that came out, it's just amazing the power and strength of that.
On the ground. We can see up here the water marks from up here, but you can see windows and all of these homes.
For guys in the camera, this is going to be a pretty big shot coming up right here. And the horse is back over there. Haven't slowed down our speed. The water went. Some good shots right here. Look at the roots right there. Like people on horseback.
Cars in the water still in there.
Cars down there. It's kind of like a tornado about 5 or 10 times wide, stretching on for, I don't know, 20, 30, 40, 50 miles.
They put about 41 miles from Mystic down to this end, and then there's another distance once we hit the Kerr-Campbell County line. We will end up searching all the way to Canyon Lake.
efforts in response to this are still in the early stages. The foremost thing we're still focused on is search and rescue of anybody who got caught up into this flooding area. But these teams that you see down here that are still doing searches, we do this 24 hours a day, and it's going to continue. You also see massive debris, some of it piled up, some of it still untouched, whether it be debris for trees falling down, busted vehicles, or whatever the case may be. It's something we're going to be involved in for weeks or months to get all that cleaned out.
Are you going to have to add this? You were talking about it earlier, but adding this to the special session, there's got to be a special allocation, or do we have the money in the bank to handle this?
So, for one, that's one of the benefits of the president making the major disaster declaration so quickly. It immediately freed up a lot of funds to be able to address the needs that all these communities have right now. The way that disaster declaration works is the federal government is going to pay for 75% of all the costs associated with things like debris removal, etc. And what we will do during a special session, among other things, is evaluate the ways the state can aid these communities through funding. But funding is just one of the things that the state will focus on in a special session when it comes to addressing both the challenges that they're facing down here as well as the actions that have to be taken to make sure that these communities remain safe and resilient for many years into the future.
Governor, I know a lot of focus right now, and rightfully so, is on Kerrville and what happened here on the Rocky Lake. But we've got a lot of devastation in the Austin area, the Lampasas area, Leander, Vernon. What's the message to those individuals? You're not forgotten.
We're at hunt right now, sir.
I was going to say, they're like, hold on. So we need to circle back and get as low as he can and do a couple of circles around the hunt store.
Copy.
Back over here. So, I thought he was going to take us down to Wal. I'll let you finish.
Go ahead, Governor.
I thought you said he was going to take us to Waldemar first. Looked like he was headed towards Mystic.
He was going to Waldemar. He was just going to circle hunt.
Tell him to go real slow here.
Okay.
So, guys, this is all around downtown Hunt. Where the two forks of the river converge.
Okay, he said hunt store is low and left.
Right there is a hunt store. Right before you get to that road, there's an American flag and a Texas flag flying. That's the hunt store. So we will be later on. Right there with the
Governor, when you see that flag flying like that after that devastation, what does that make you feel?
pride. Listen, Texans have a lot of pride in our state and our people and our country, and we will always fly the flag.
So, Governor, in the early days of this, we saw over 800 successful rescues here. And I mean, just looking at it from up ahead, it's hard to believe that they were able to pull that off. What would you credit to?
A lot of skill, a lot of training, a lot of commitment. Remember, those rescues were taking place not in sunny, calm skies like this. They were taking place with wind and storms and a lot of havoc around it, but also with a great sense of urgency, knowing that they had to find as many people as they could in just minutes. And so it was an act of true heroism, but it was very successful because they're so trained and so effective at what they do, and because we had so many of them out flying around on the ground also to make sure that we would be able to rescue as many people as possible. So we're so far along this way, you might as well go ahead.
He says this is Camp La Junta right here, and then he's going to go to North Fork and South Fork.
Got it.
There's a little Junta side. I've never seen that, but up on the hill there.
Hey, if it could circle around and let us get a picture of the La Junta sign, that'd be great.
Okay, sounds good.
It's right there. So I'm guessing you guys know one of the camps in Metropolis is Camp La Junta. You're going to see in 45 degrees the sign at the top of the hill right there, La Junta.
Is that good? Did you guys get it, or you move out?
And then the campground's right down there. Straight down if you can, just we're right over Camp La Junta. Right there's the hunt store. Now, here's a little, let me turn one more time. I'm going to show you something. We need to do a hard left here. So it's so packed. The hunt store looks like it's a staging area. Think of that shed. I don't even call it a shed. What is it called?
Pavilion?
Pavilion. There's a potential area, or just right across the street. Cameron's already down there.
Yeah, they're going to clear some of those vehicles out of the way for us, Governor. Right there at that intersection, if you want to be right in front of the store.
At the base of it is a Texas flag down there, right in front of that Texas flag. All right, for the pilots, we're good to go.
Okay, Governor, you see the dumpster, you see a white van, and then a Tahoe and a pickup. Right, those are our vehicles right there. So from there, where do you want us to?
So, hey, have them slow down around the store. Hard left for the store real quick. Hard left. Down and slow. So you can see the Texas flag at the base of the U.S. flag right in front of the store?
Yes, sir.
I'm thinking right there.
Got it.
to go?
Copy.
Oh, they just mowed down right here.
Looks like that guy was stuck. He was waving. His truck was off the road.
Hey, other guy that was stuck. So we don't have Freeman. Do a DPS with us? Yeah, tell them that there's a guy stuck on a little roadway in a truck. Looked like he got pushed off the road. About a quarter of a mile west of the Hunt store.
Well, you want to circle back?
We're going to be coming back across there anyway, right?
It depends on time we can, or we'll probably go beeline right to the airport, though.
If we could just communicate with somebody on the ground.
To help the state of Texas on the ground out here.
Never been better. I've dealt with so many storms. We've seen so many across the country. President Trump was president when I was governor during Hurricane Harvey, but never have I seen a response as quick or as effective as I have the Trump administration response to this storm. Trump immediately granted a request, immediately called to help, immediately sent out Chrissy Noam, and I've dealt with a lot of staff administrators or secretaries of cabinets to have come to the state of Texas to help out. No one has been as actively hands-on and swiftly delivering results as much as Chrissy Noam. 1 second. So that's not Baltimore, is it? It's further up.
Yeah, I think it's further up. Camp Stewart for boys.
It's been the swiftest, most effective that any president has ever delivered. Record amount of support, record amount of time, record immediate results.
Governor, what else would you like to see the feds bring in? Any other troops that are in joint base blacklist? Could you use that extra boots on the ground?
So when you were talking about that, you kind of broke up a little bit and said you mentioned something about them bringing in. I missed what you were saying.
More boots in the... Sorry about that. You mentioned about the federal response. Would you like to see some federal troops, maybe from San Antonio, Joint Base San Antonio, come in and help?
Let me answer that in a second, because I'm thinking but not sure. We're about to pass over Baltimore.
Yes, sir. On my phone, that's what it looks like. Looks like it's me off the nose.
washed off the road by water, and because we were able to see it from the air, we were able to quickly contact people on the ground to go to his rescue to make sure his challenges were addressed. Good news for him, he was outside of his vehicle, standing up, didn't appear to be in any serious physical harm, but his truck looked like it was in danger.
And it's an example of why the danger persists still here, even though the water's down.
It's also an example of why we have to maintain aerial overview of this area 24/7, because we were able to see and respond to something immediately because we were in the air. It could have taken a long time on the ground to come across something like that.
Hey, Governor, my previous question, we've got a lot of personnel that manage to get going to Bay San Antonio. I'd like to see some of those boots on the ground out here.
What the Trump administration has done and what Chris and them have done is to surge people who have experience in dealing with challenges like this. For example, when Chrissy Nome was here with us, saw what was needed, she made a phone call to surge and response teams and got them here in less than 24 hours. And they are trained at this type of operation. What we've done, whether it be the resources provided by the Trump administration, by the state of Texas, or the local level, we've combined resources to make sure that we are covering every square inch of the land. And as they continue to cross a certain area of land, they mark it off in a matrix, knowing that area has been covered. Doesn't mean they're not going to go back and cover it again. They're just making sure they check the box as they go down the stream on the first, second, and third trips down there, knowing that things constantly change on that river. But we have air and ground resources that are needed, and we're thankful not only for the Trump administration, but I've been contacted by so many states, and other governors have either already sent or have on their way to Texas their own search and rescue teams to assist in this effort. Hold on a second. Is this the river right here? So guys, this is upstream from Camp Mystic.
Yeah, he said we're upstream on the south border. At 4,800 feet is the MQ-9 Reaper remotely piloted aircraft. And it's flying from probably around Comfort all the way up through Hunt up in these areas. And it's, a persistent eye in the sky over all this land. And then what the governor was saying about other states moving, it usually has to leave by about 2 o'clock. It launches in the morning because we don't have enough 3,800 feet is an MQ-9 Reaper remotely piloted aircraft. And it's flying from probably around Comfort all the way up through Hunt up in these areas. And it's, you know, a persistent eye in the sky over all this land. And then what the governor was saying about other states moving, it usually has to leave by about 2 o'clock. It launches in the morning because we don't have enough crews. So in North Dakota, we're working with North Dakota right now to see if we can bring on one of their crews. And what will happen is as that airplane orbits, they will switch control from Houston, our guys, to North Dakota. They'll pick up the feed and they'll fly it through a satellite so it can stay up over this area longer.
Has that eye in the sky spotted anything that triggered a rescue or a recovery?
I don't have that information, but it's basically, you know, helping guide our SAR guys, but I don't have that information.
And this is another reason why we don't need personal drones in the air. We're flying low. We're looking for people. We're looking for helping the rescuers. And we just recently had a private drone collide with one of our aircraft.
Correct.
What's your message to the private these drone pilots?
Yeah, if you're not authorized to fly here, don't fly here. Period.
There's Mystic right there. So all that was just blown down. The girls were up over here. And believe it or not, those in were basically and it was only those higher up that were unable to be evacuated. Coming over the top from the top side down. A wall obviously was blown off. That's Mystic right there. Right underneath us are the cabins the girls were in. Those cabins right there, the closest to the water, the girls were evacuated, and they climbed that hill right there to get above the water. So if you go over to those locations, you see where the red, white, and blue, you guys can't see, but there's a red, white, and blue container that they're putting trash in. He's going to need to back up. It's covered by trees. You see the water level where it is right now. Think how high it had to get to be at the top of the roofs of those buildings up over there. It's unfathomable. If I said back up, I mean like going that way. You might as well do a circle. are two houses. Girls were trapped in. Water went to the top of those two houses and flooded those poor little girls. The area on the river right now that really cost so many of these girls their lives. These are cabins right here that are the closest to the water. I'm told by sources that the girls in these cabins right here were the first they approached to make sure that they would be kept safe. And they took them from those cabins and had them walk up that hill right there above the rising water, and most of them, if not all of them, turned out to be safe. They went to each succeeding cabin to get girls out of those cabins. Only when you get further up the hill, you get to cabins where no one thought water would get that high over there, but it did. Not only did it get high, it went all the way to the roof of those cabins way over there. And it's one of those cabins way over there that little girls were swept away by the ravaging river.
They're going to move up the hill here.
Look at the size of those uprooted trees, man. There's a Camp Mystic sign on that building right there. rain, but there's really nothing you can say. Hold on one second, because that's, you guys can't see it, but right there is the house none of those kids were in.
You want to rotate around?
Maybe they went clockwise. Get these guys a shot on this side.
Okay.
There's a good straight shot right there. Everything your camera's looking at right now is completely underwater.
Governor, what would be your message to the families of the girls at Camp Mystic right now?
Kerrville, Texas, born with them. We understand the pain that they're going through right now. We want to do everything possible to aid them, assist them, to console them, help them be able to rebuild their lives, knowing that the state of Texas is standing by their side every step of the way. Head on back. Have them take the river up to the hunt store, then they can just take it directionally from there.
Okay.
People right underneath us searching. A lot of people walking up and down the river basin there searching. Amongst all those trees. At a very fast mile-per-hour pace. Just unfathomable what they went through.
No, Tim, sorry about that. And they weren't as successful with rescues as Texas has been. What would you think the difference is in those events versus this one? Why was Texas so much more successful?
Well, I can't really say what other states did or didn't do. What I can tell you is what Texas did do. We always are weather aware, and because of that, we pre-position assets in and around this area 2 days before the flooding took place. 1 day before the flooding took place, as we gained more detailed information, we were able to both increase those assets and resources as well as make them closer to where the ultimate event would likely take place. So we were ready within minutes of the flood coming through to begin the response. The first thing we always do, we focus on saving lives. And we had teams of very experienced search and rescue operations, Texas Task Force 1, Texas Task Force 2, and other operations that were able to immediately begin saving lives. Same thing went from both the local officials, and then once we had the Coast Guard come in here very quickly to make stunning rescues themselves. So it was truly an all hands on deck type situation where we were ready from the get-go to make sure that we would be able to save lives as needed. Thank you, sir.
Down in this area, this assessment over this body of this area, does that seem practical to you? Do you think that's a good idea? Is it doable?
So it is one of literally dozens of ideas that we're going to take a look at this session. You asked the important question: is it practical? Is it effective? If you go back and look at what's been said in the community in the past, they really didn't want sirens. I can't tell you why. I'm just telling you what I read. Here's the point. We can't, from the Capitol in Austin, Texas, dictate to these people what's going to be most effective for them. We need them to weigh in and give us what their best thoughts and ideas are, what they think works. I'll tell you one thing that doesn't work, Rudy, is a guy who's been here for 20 years to this very region every summer. I know that cell phone service is spotty at best, non-existent most frequently. And so alerts that typically would come over a cell phone or things like that probably didn't make it. So there has to be, what everybody can agree upon is there has to be a better way. And it's just going to take everybody working together to figure out what those best ways are.
You know this, but I began coming here about 20 years ago.
Have you?
I've been pointed out. My daughter was a camper here. She's an adult.
We're all Mystic girls. So
Yeah.
my daughter, granddaughter, and myself.
We're quite serious for you here.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, we just thank you so much for being here. This is how we're overwhelmed with all of you about
We're not letting up.
thank you.
Some may be
There's so
done.
many people
Yeah.
that need
House may be gone, but we're not.
We needed to hear that.
Yeah. We're not giving up until every last person is recovered, until every piece of debris is removed, until all the roads are rebuilt, until everything's done to make sure order is restored to the community. You live here? In Hunt? Yeah. Whereabouts?
At 39 off of Langerville.
Okay. So you had some elevation where you were?
Yes, thankfully we're on a hill, but a lot of people we know were and they lost it.
I know. I've seen it all. I've never seen anything more horrific. So sorry for you. Be assured that a week goes by, we're not going away. We will not leave until the job is done. God bless you. Give you our prayers. Thank everybody for being here. I visited with some locals who live around here, including a family member of the owner of this store. I let her know that I first came to the store about 21 years ago. Been to this store every year for many years. I've seen these little campers since they were just a little bit bigger than toddlers, young kids. I've seen them grow and mature into beautiful young men and women. Nothing is as heart-wrenching as hearing the stories of what the girls around here, especially the girls at Camp Mystic, went through. To see where they lived in one moment, where they disappeared the next moment, and were gone forever a few moments after that. I wanted these people to know, I want you all to know, the hearts of our fellow Texans are breaking every single day because of what people of this community and the surrounding area are going through. There's nothing more important on our hearts and minds than the people of this community, especially those who are still lost. I told them what we were doing, not just today, but what we are going to be doing for the days, weeks, and months to come. This is what they needed to hear. They need to know Texas is in this with the people in the Hill Country right here. We are not leaving until this job is finished. The job right now, the primary job right now, continues to be locating everybody who was affected by this flood. There still remain those who are missing. We have to find every single person who's missing. And that's job number one. While we are doing that job, it's important that we also be conducting other business affecting this storm. We did several things in that regard today. One is to get a better assessment about what exactly needed to be provided for the community. We took a flyover to get that assessment. I've been here for multiple times over the course of the past 2 decades, but multiple times over the course of just this one flooding episode. And I have a good feel on the ground of what is needed. But when you're in the air, you get a fuller perspective of how widespread, how catastrophic the damage is, and what must be done to fully address it. We were able to process that better today when we flew around. And on that fly around today, I had with me the Speaker of the House, Dustin Burrows, who's going to speak after myself. I want to provide you with some information, some of which is just now updated. First, the numbers that I have is that there are 94 fatalities. 94 fatalities associated with this flooding event in this area. Separate from that, in other flooding events in other parts of the state of Texas, there's another 15 fatalities for a total of 109. To put this into perspective, just in the Kerr and Kendall counties alone, there are far more fatalities than there were in Hurricane Harvey. That's how catastrophic this is. I also have some updated numbers on those who are missing. First, from Camp Mystic. My information is those who are missing is down to now 5 campers and 1 counselor. 5 campers and 1 counselor missing. In addition to that, there is another child not associated with the camp who is missing. So for Kerr County, that would be a total of 7 who are missing. In other parts of the state, there are 12 who are missing. I have a new number, however. So one thing we've been reaching out to the public about is to get better information about those who were not registered at a camp, those who were not registered at a hotel, those who may have been down here who no one really had any accounting of. And through law enforcement agency working together, they provided me this number. Just in the Kerr County area alone, there are 161 people who are known to be missing. And again, that comes from combined law enforcement efforts, 161 known people who are missing. Know this, we will not stop until every missing person is accounted for. Know this also, there very likely could be more added to that list. One way that we were able to expand the list of those who are missing is because family members, friends, neighbors, etc. begin calling in and reporting them as missing. What I want to do is once again provide a reminder to anybody watching this that if you have a friend, a family member, somebody that you think may be missing because of this storm, we need you to call the number that I'm about to give you. It is 830-258-1111. That's 830-258-1111. If you want to go to a website address, you can go to kerrvillemissing@dps.texas.gov. I'm going to repeat it twice more. That's Kerrville, spelled Kerrville, no space, then the word missing, MISSING. So Kerrville Missing at dps.texas.gov. So either call that phone number, go to that website, and provide the name and the best identification you can and the last known location of anybody that you think is missing. Know this also, if you make a prank call or provide false information, that's a crime. Do not provide false information because you're hindering our ability to undertake this investigation, hindering our ability to actually rescue and find those who truly are missing. So you better be correct when you're calling in and let us know that there is somebody who is missing. Importantly, we know that so many families are going through grief that's beyond anyone's comprehension right now, beyond any of us being able to walk up to them and give them the magic words that will make them suddenly feel healed. We know that they need grief counselors. We have 5 organizations that together are providing dozens of grief counselors for all of the affected family members around here. It's so important at times like this for family members to access that grief counseling so they can have their mental and emotional health needs addressed in what may be the most challenging time of their lives. Something else that's a help as we begin the process of helping places like the Hunt store, the local community, Hunt, Texas, be able to rebuild. One thing that is speeding that recovery was the immediate granting of the major master declaration that was granted by President Trump. It immediately opened not only access to more funding, but also access to more resources to be able to more quickly and more effectively respond to this storm. That includes debris removal, which has already begun. It includes assistance for individuals who are eligible to apply, and the Director of Texas Division of Emergency Management will explain more about that in a second. But there are 2 categories of people or entities that there is money available to assist. One are individuals affected by the storm. Another are public entities like the town of Hunt, like the town of Kerrville, like the county of Kerr, etc. They may have needs with regard to roads or utilities, whatever the case may be. Now the assistance is available for them to more effectively and more quickly address that. With regard to roads, anybody who's driven around here knows that there are some roads that need repairs. The Texas Department of Public Safety is working 24/7 to make sure they're going to be getting these roads repaired and passable as quickly as possible. going back to President Trump, he and I spoke again this morning, and he could not stop talking about how sad he was for all the little girls who've lost their life. He recounted his own understanding of what happened with what was really a tsunami wave of wall of water that swept too many of them away. And he cares a lot about those young ladies. And he wants to step up and make sure that any need that we have here in Texas is going to be met very quickly. And he's already done that by helping to provide the quick assistance by sending down Secretary Kristi Noem, who, listen, I've been dealing with events like this for 10 years. Never have I seen someone respond as quickly and as effectively as what Secretary Noem did. Also, while coming over here, I received this text from Secretary Kennedy. It says the following. It says, Governor Abbott, it's Secretary Robert Kennedy. It says, we are set to declare a public health emergency for the Texas Hill Country flash floods. This will make it easier for healthcare and mental health providers from out of state to help both by traveling to the area and by telemedicine. Please let us know where we can be most helpful, which I will let him know. But I just wanted you to know about that new update. Now I would like to turn things over to the Speaker of the Texas House, Dustin Burrows.
Thank you, Governor. First, to the members of the community and all those who've been impacted, the survivors, those who've lost loved ones, I know there's not any adequate words any of us can express to share our care and concern. But I want to promise you, every person in this state, every tip of it, we have held you in our thoughts, in our prayers, and we will continue to do so as you go through this. And you take care of what I know all Texans can endure. I had the opportunity to fly with Governor Abbott today over the damaged area. It is hard to comprehend the amount of water that came through in such a short period of time. It is unimaginable what the victims and survivors went through as they were faced with that, and we heard the stories about that. And looking at the debris and looking at the problems and all of the damage that's been done, I know there's a long road to recovery. But through that, we saw some silver linings. We saw Texas flags being flown proudly because we know people of this state are resilient. We saw people from all over the state coming together and working and volunteering and trying to begin helping rebuild and continuing with the search and recovery efforts. I have had members of the Texas House from all over the state looking for ways to help. You have a great local representative with West Verdell, but I promise you, every Texan, all 150 members of the Texas House have been looking for ways to help, whether it's helping to raise money or wanting to do things. They are committed to it. I want to thank Governor Abbott for saying that we will address these issues in a special session in 2 weeks. And I want to assure you, the Texas House will be organized, we will be ready, and we stand willing and able to listen to the community and experts and do all that we can to help address it from this perspective. So thank you all very much for the opportunity. I'll turn over the microphone.
This is the kind of event that the Speaker of the House would have come to in an ordinary situation. When you consider the fact that we're going to start a special session 2 Mondays from now, a special session that will have at the top of its agenda helping communities like in Kerr County, Kendall County, as well as in Central Texas and the Big Country, all areas affected by the floods of the past week. Those issues are going to be on the agenda for the state to address from top to bottom. We want to make sure that when we end that session, we end it making sure these communities are better, more resilient, and have the resources that they need for the next chapter of their lives. Now we have the director of the Texas Department of Public Safety, Freeman Martin.
Governor, thank you. The governor said it. We have 109 fatalities and 161 missing. Every asset and resource that the Department of Public Safety has is being used on this response. We have 258 people just from DPS assigned here in Kerrville. They're from the Highway Patrol, the Tactical Marine Unit, criminal investigators, Texas Rangers, SWAT, IOD and ICT, and victim services. And you ask, well, what do all these do? Everybody does something different. Everybody understands search and rescue. When the governor mentioned 161 missing, the city of Kerrville stood up a line that if you can't get a hold of a loved one, if they're missing in the Kerrville area, call this number. That number grew to several hundred. These analysts worked with Kerr County Sheriff's Department and the Kerrville Police Department to narrow that down. People that have been identified as deceased, people who have been found alive, deconflicted, the numbers that have been reported twice, and we are still down to 161 missing. All I can tell you is there's nothing to celebrate about how well we've done this far, but there's a lot of work to be done. And we're thankful that the speaker standing behind us and the governor, the Texas legislature has funded us and we're properly staffed and equipped to respond to this. Just this last session, a few weeks ago, we were given 6 replacement helicopters and 1 fixed wing. That is exactly what we use to respond to these. I'll tell you another thing, we have plenty of resources, but at the same time, we're not turning down one resource until we recover every last person on this list of 161. So we have FBI, DEA, HSI, the United States Border Patrol, the United States Coast Guard, everybody working together under a unified command, and we won't stop until we finish. A couple things. Right now in Burnett County, we have 3 Zodiac boats and 26 DPS personnel from the Tactical Marine Unit and the Texas Highway Patrol continuing searching. I'm in constant communication with the Travis County Sheriff, Sally Hernandez. They are helping us at the medical examiner's office, and at the same time, they have as many as 10 people that are missing from Travis County. As we pulled in the parking lot, I got off the phone with the Williamson County. They recovered. They had 3 people that were swept away, and just minutes ago, they recovered their last victim in Williamson County. There's a lot of work to be done in Kerr County and Kendall County. We will continue to grow this and add additional agencies as we go forward. But the governor's right, we won't stop until every last body is recovered, alive or not. So thank you very much. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you. Now, General Seltzer with the Texas National Guard.
Thank you, Governor. I just got off about an hour-long helicopter trip with the governor, and I can tell you what I saw was miles and miles of massive devastation. The Texas National Guard will stay here working with our federal, state, and local partners to search for the missing and to help our communities recover.
We can't hear. Okay. Just the trucks?
We will continue using assets such as search crews on the ground, high-profile military vehicles, Black Hawk helicopters with rescue hoists, and heavy Chinook helicopters in order to conduct search and rescue, evacuation, and to insert critical safety teams into austere areas to help life-saving. Aiding us in the effort today is the arrival of 4 Black Hawk helicopters from the state of Arkansas. That grows our agency count to 13 helicopters in support of this effort. Additionally, overhead, for the last 3 days, we have had MQ-9 Reaper remotely piloted aircraft conducting search and rescue operations. We are working with other states to get additional crews to support so that we can expand the coverage of that search and rescue operation. And lastly, we have shelter management crews that are working within the community to help those in need. I would like to close by saying something that the governor has said many times before. He's said it many times today, but I'll emphasize it. Your National Guard will not leave until every person is found, and we will not leave until our communities are recovered. Thank you.
Thank you. General Seltzer rightfully mentioned and thanks the state of Arkansas for helping out with those Blackhawks as well as other resources. I jotted down from memory what I think is every state that I know has either provided help or offered it or it's on its way. I say that I'm hoping I'm not leaving anybody out. But our fellow governors and fellow states are helping out from Arkansas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, Iowa, Nebraska, Ohio, South Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, and I regret if I missed your state. I'll try to come back to it here in a second. But next is Chief Nim Kidd with the Texas Division of Emergency Management.
Thank you, Governor. I want to start by thanking all of you for standing out here in this heat and experiencing a little bit of what the volunteers and first responders are dealing with around the clock as we continue our search. We have 4 priorities. They are the continuation of the search. They are debris cleanup and removal. They are supporting individual assistance programs and public assistance programs. I'm going to dive into some of the details of those. We continue our search operations not just here in Kerr County, but in the other 5 counties where we have people that are reported missing. As you can see and hear by the trucks passing by, debris cleanup is well underway. I want to thank the volunteers and all of the private sector partners that are out there working on debris operations right now. This will aid in the continuation of our search. We are pushing forward to help those whose homes and businesses have been impacted through the FEMA Individual Assistance Program. The President's program has people here on the ground today that are working to get people registered through our websites and start opening disaster recovery centers today and tomorrow. Damage assessments for those locals are still underway, and we've had over 1,000 submissions into the ISTAT program. Please, if you have not submitted into the ISTAT program yet and your home or business was impacted, you send that information to us. Next, well, that didn't work out. Continue to work on our public assistance for our communities, working to get our roads repaired, our debris cleaned up, our water, wastewater, and utilities back up online. Finally, I need your help in getting the message out to help keep the roads cleared. You've seen a lot of damage in these roads as our TxDOT crews are out trying to repair those roads right now while we still have a lot of traffic in our emergency operations. I want to thank you again for your time and your patience in helping us get this message out.
Thank you, Chief. Yesterday, I met with families at Camp Mystic. I made a commitment to them. The day before, I met with residents of Kerrville. Today, I met with residents of Hunt. I made a promise to all of them. Texas will not stop until we finish the job. We will not stop until we identify, recover every single body. We'll not stop until every road is rebuilt, every inch of debris is removed. We'll not stop because we are a state that cares about our people, cares about our communities, and we'll be with them every step of the way. We'll take a few questions.
Governor Abbott.
So obviously the local officials who were on the ground at the time would know the most about that. But let's talk about it in this way. That's going to be one of the issues that we begin to address in less than 2 weeks in the state legislature. We're going to address every aspect of this storm to make sure that we're going to have in place the systems that are needed to prevent deadly flooding events like this in the future.
Governor Abbott, over here.
When what happened, Governor, you led an investigation. Are you going to ask for investigation in this case?
So you, we said when Harvey happened?
No, Uvalde.
Oh, Uvalde
Uvalde happened.
Yeah.
And it was gross negligence back then. Now this happened, and the death toll is enormous. Are you going to ask for investigation? Who is to blame here in public?
Right. So I'm going to talk about two different things. The first part of your question, and that is an investigation. We know a special session's coming in about 10 days. That's where, I would say, where it begins. Candidly, those investigations will begin by both the House and Senate before we go into session. So probably beginning later this week or the early part of next week, there'll be committees formed that are already kind of working on ideas about ways to address this. Second part of your question needs to be addressed. You ask, I'm going to use your words, who's to blame? Know this. That's the word choice of losers. Let me explain one thing about Texas. And that is, Texas, every square inch of our state cares about football. You could be in Hunt, Texas, Huntsville, Texas, Houston, Texas, any size community, they care about football. High school, Friday night lights, college football, or pro. And know this, every football team makes mistakes. The losing teams are the ones that try to point out who's to blame. The championship teams are the ones that say, don't worry about it, man, we got this. We're going to make sure that we go score again, that we're going to win this game. The way winners talk is not to point fingers. They talk about solutions. What Texas is all about is solutions. In fact, I want to read you something that I received last night that's worth emphasizing to put this in context. Tragedy has come. That part is done. What we do now, who we are now, that's what the story is still being written. Let it be one of grace, of grit, of fierce love in the face of grief. Let it be the kind of story that proves that the hill country may flood, but it does not fail. Say what you will about Texas, but when the rivers rise, so do we. Not with blame, not with bitterness, but with boots on the ground, arms around strangers, and hearts wide open. That's the Texas I know, and that's the America that I believe in. What this person wrote is what I know is true for all Texans, and what we will achieve every single day.
Governor Abbott, over here, sir.
You know, part of the legislative process is policy is not made in a vacuum. We have ideas. I've served on 2 investigatory committees out of the House before I was Speaker, both Uvalde and Panhandle wildfires. There are things that we can talk about, but it is too early to commit to know the specifics until we actually talk to the members of the community and hear what they think. Talk to the experts in the field. Talk to the first responders. That's what legislative hearings are for. We are ready to get started. The legislators I talk to, the members of the House, and I know the Senate, are very interested in finding solutions to not accept that we can't do better. But we will have those hearings. We will synthesize what we get, and we will come up with legislation that I believe will make it to the governor's desk and make us a stronger, better, more resilient Texas.
Governor Abbott, over here, sir. Governor, clearly there's growing concerns in this community.
Well, so one thing that we're focused on is making sure that we deliver the right solutions. One thing the Speaker just said is worth emphasizing, and that is that for us to provide real solutions, we actually need to hear from the people who are the ones most affected. The ones most affected, they're dealing with the grievance of having lost a child or lost a business or otherwise have their lives turned upside down. They don't have the capability right now of providing that information. We'll talk to local leaders, importantly, not just here, but across the state. And we want to make sure that we address what happened here, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we are able to implement measures that are going to be able to prevent loss in other regions going forward. So we have our work cut out for us, but I know the members of the House and members of the Senate, I know we'll work and get some meaningful things done.
Governor Abbott, over here, sir. First of all, we want to acknowledge the superhuman work that's happening for these rescue and recovery efforts. But there are growing concerns in this community about who was in charge during those critical hours when that first alert came in at 1:14 and when the wall of water arrived here just before 5 a.m. What is your level of concern here, and what are you looking into personally?
So again, my focus isn't on trying to say, oh, you did wrong or you should have done better there. My job is to bring Texas and Texans together and make sure that we immediately start delivering on solutions. You talk about the heroic effort, and no one has seen the level of response as what Texas has provided over the past 4 days or so. And we continue to maintain that response here while also going to the state capitol and working on around-the-clock responses there to make sure that we do deliver real solutions for these people sitting right behind you.
And a follow-up for Chief Kidd, please.
Sure. So what your question is about what local officials knew, you'd have to ask them. Now, what the state was aware of, the state was aware that there was a possible serious flooding event days in advance, and we pre-positioned assets and resources and personnel. And remember, the flood began on Friday morning. We originally positioned those assets, resources, and personnel on Wednesday. Then when greater clarity was discerned on Thursday, we moved them closer, added, and made sure that we had adequate supply going into Friday. So we were ready with the resources on the ground to be able to quickly respond. Some people say, well, we responded so fast. One reason we did respond fast is because we had assets here already. That said, we didn't know the magnitude of the storm. We knew that there was a flash flood warning. And if you heard a flash flood warning, no one would know that would be a 30-foot high tsunami wall of water, I don't think. But all I can tell you is the information we had, the state had, and that we acted on, was information that catalyzed us to begin putting assets and resources in place 2 days before the event happened.
Chief Kidd, a follow-up, sir.
Yep. Well, so if I could say this. Yeah. Sure. Well, yeah. Well, I'm gonna connect you with someone. Yeah. So let. Right. And I got the person for you. I'm going to give you her name, her number, let you connect with her. But let me say this. You know, people talk about how strong Texas is. People talk about how strong Texas is because of people like you. People who don't wait around for orders and instructions. Yeah, I started like it, not just you, but like you. We saw the exact same response in Hurricane Harvey. People didn't wait for a boss to tell them what to do. There was no time clock to check in or check out. They said they're getting out their own canoe, their own kayak, and they're going to start helping neighbors before the sun rose up until after the sun set. But all I wanted to let you know is the spirit that lies within your heart, and use the word blood, in your bloodstream. You have in your blood what Texas is all about. And Two more questions.
Quick follow-up. At what point was the state in contact with the county ahead of this flooding here, sir?
Nim could best answer that. Nim,
Chief Kidd, we know that resources were deployed ahead of this ahead of the flooding. At what point was the state in contact with Kerr County?
Wednesday and Thursday before the Friday morning.
So why was evacuation orders not listed?
I can't answer the whys. I'm not going to answer the whys. You asked when we were in contact. We started having calls and messages on Wednesday from an area of I-35, out I-10, all the way to where it touches I-20, all the way back over to where I-20 touches I-35 again. That is a large chunk of Texas that was anywhere in the potential area of where this kind of rain could have fallen. It picked this spot right here.
All right.
Can you tell us the nature of those talks, sir?
Go ahead. Yeah, and so I just heard that moments ago. The man who's in charge of that assistance is Chief Nim Kidd. She wants to know how long does it take to get assistance?
How long does it take to get assistance? So the disaster recovery centers will be published in the morning of those locations. They can go to those locations and start getting aid. There are plenty of volunteers that are out there ready to offer aid right now, in addition to the federal assistance.
So you're saying that those centers will be open tomorrow morning?
Yes, sir.
Where?
We have the addresses. I need to confirm them, and then we'll put them out. They will be publicized. They will be publicized. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, right now they're leaving. They're walking away.
Okay. Okay. I appreciate you.
Thank you.